All right, Scorpio, thanks for tuning in to your December of 2014 horoscope. My name is Hathan. Okay, so last month there was a lot of emphasis on your guys' first house, perhaps some new beginnings you guys have been working on last month in November, and also that energy is going to start to shift early on this month, but you're going to notice there's a sort of segue, and the segue is going from your first house to your second house. And essentially this is taking everything you've learned from the first, moving into the second, and we've got a lot of activity in the second involving Pluto. We've got this square with Uranus and Pluto, lots of aspects with Pluto, and then all the fast-moving planets are going over Pluto this month, so strong emphasis on that second house. But it's sort of leading into it, and it's subtle, and it starts with Venus shifting signs from the first into the second. So perhaps this is, Venus in the first, this has been back in November. It's probably feeling pretty good about your self-image, who you are, what you're accomplishing, what your goals are, and perhaps putting a lot of that into work with Saturn, because Saturn just recently went into your guys' first house. So a lot of you guys are becoming much more mature, much more grounded with your goals and what you guys are achieving in this life. This is in many ways the beginning of a Saturn cycle. Saturn in the first house is like, okay, he's now at the beginning of the Zodiac for you, and there's this sense of maturity that's now taking place with you as a person, which is going to prepare you for this new cycle that Saturn's going to be transiting over for the next 28 years. So very exciting, and so being the willing participant in the grounded process of maturity of the self, I think is really a good suggestion for you guys, but I think you're naturally doing that, naturally wanting to get more grounded, much more mature in your overall life. But either way, last month there was a strong emphasis on that on a personal level, on a mundane level, and it starts to shift. And Venus was there, so it's probably feeling pretty good about it. And then on the 5th, she goes into your second house, and this is the first entry of the fast-moving planets into the second. And with Venus leading the way, that's usually that wanting to do it. So you wanting to attain your values, you wanting to attain your resources, achieve those things in your life that are important to you. And also becoming very connected to your sense of self-worth too. So really tap into that, especially from the 5th to about the 13th. Really pay attention to your sense of self-worth, how important that is for you to feel good in that area. And also open up to receive a little bit more from the universe, because this is the house of receiving. It's the house of what's important to you, and being open to receiving is how the universe, how Mother Earth, which rules the second house, can give you that abundance, but you have to be fully open. And Venus can really help you do that by seeing the enjoyment and the ease of it, actually. Venus makes things a lot easier. Now then Mercury goes in there on the 13th, and so then I think you're going to be more consciously thinking about it from that point onward for the month in terms of the resources, perhaps on a mundane level, your finances, that sort of thing, how those are going, but and hopefully really use this to tap into, like I said, your sense of self-worth. And your ability to manifest and see how your thoughts and your communications are sending messages out into the universe to reciprocate your values back to you. Okay, pay attention to that. And then on the 15th, the sun goes into the second house, and that's when a lot of energy really intensifies. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a destructive sense or powerful, like we're not able to control it. It's actually the opposite. If you choose the change, if you want the control and you want that spiritual transformation in your life, then you're the willing participant, the active participant, and these changes are very smooth and enjoyable. They can be especially smooth this month because we have some aspects involving Neptune. But in either case, on the 15th, when the sun goes in there, there's going to be a much more stronger emphasis on that second house, saying how important your vitality, your life force energy is when you are open to receiving your abundance and you have that sense of self-worth. Okay, and then exactly on the 15th, that's when that Uranus-Pluto square takes place. And so this has been an ongoing energy, okay? Now it becomes very personal because it's going exact this month. And this has been over the past 2 years. Uranus has been transiting your 5th house, Pluto's been transiting your 2nd, and they've been squaring up to each other. So this kind of energy, in terms of Pluto, is helping you get rid of a lot of old emotional patterns, old ways of thinking in terms of your sense of worth, your values, your resources. So be willing to do that. Go deep this month, and you'll feel the energy is, I think, the highest on the 15th, especially from the 10th to the 20th, like the middle part of the month, but all month really. Be willing to make those changes there And then on the, and then also in terms of Uranus in the 5th house, Uranus has been really helping you guys be free with your self-expression, to be your unique self out into the open, out into the light, letting your true self shine. And, you know, allowing changes to happen with your sense of creativity too, with your, what would you say, your ability to create. Because the 5th house at the end of the day is the life force energy, which of course is creative energy. And so whether it's creativity around the home, the work, the relationships, whatever, that creativity is trying to seek an expression. Okay, there's a very creative side of you trying to be released. And so the way to release it, the key of releasing it, lies in that 2nd house with Pluto, which is about that self-worth and everything I talked about. So opening up to the universe, increasing that sense of self-worth by getting rid of all this garbage in your life that's no longer serving you. You're going to step into a sense of power. You guys have the ability to really step into your power to receive abundance, okay, this month. When you clear out, when you're willing to clear out all that stuff, and you can see the power behind it, and you become the active, willing participant in the process. Through that, you'll gain a tremendous amount of freedom, and it'll be a freedom of your self-expression, okay? Because that's what this is all about. And this is the second to last hit of this aspect, so we're coming to the very tail end of this square. March is the last of it. So between now and March, put in the work to clear out all that stuff, and also step into that freedom. You know, don't be afraid to express yourself, to be yourself, and that's going to naturally unlock a lot of your ability to receive in abundance, etc. So they're related, and what you want to do is you want to bring those two together. So between now and March, do that, you know, pay attention to that, because this is the last of it, and the more constructive it is, the more you're going to see positive changes in your life in terms of it. Now, that's on the 15th where the energy is the highest, but like I said, it's going to be going on kind of throughout the whole month. Now, on the 20th, that's when things really start to get a little more personal on the day-to-day level, perhaps through relationships and such. On the 20th, we have Venus going over Pluto, then Mercury, then the Sun, all conjunct going over for the remainder of the month, from the 20th onward. So starting with Venus, this is relationships. Be willing to change. Be willing for change to happen with yourself and those you're in a relationship with, all kinds of relationships, friendships, etc. And you're going to notice positive changes there. Then Mercury's going to go over a little bit later, so be willing to let go, like I said, in the old modes of thinking and communicating especially. And then the Sun, be willing to let go of any attachments that you might have to your creation, or to your ability to create, or your ability to manifest. And that's what Pluto shows us. Pluto shows us that we need to release attachment in order to manifest. Okay, so when Pluto's in the 2nd house, when you're too attached to something, you create a blockage, and then there's no more. The universe can't reciprocate. Their energy can't flow back to you because you're creating barriers. So be non-attached, but set the intentions. You know, that's essentially how it works. And you're going to notice if you do that, it's going to be very healing. Okay, because as these planets go over, they're all going to be touching a sextile with Chiron and Neptune, which has to do with when you're doing this willingly, there's a tremendous healing taking place. But I think the healing is going to happen anyways. But it's an opportunity, actually, with a sextile, so you can choose to do it or not, actually. But if you do choose, you will find it healing. And also very tranquil and present and flowing. Okay, Neptune's going to be aspecting that as well. So be willing to go with the flow. All right, and you're going to notice a tremendous amount of peace with this whole process. This month doesn't have to be transformative, destructive. It can be peaceful and flowing, and then you'll look back and be like, well, that wasn't so bad. You know, that was very positive. Lots of positive changes in my life, you know. So, yeah, so that's very nice. Now, Mars during the 20th is actually sextiling up to Uranus. So that's another very powerful part of the 20th whole time frame. In terms of Mars, Mars is going to be assisting that Uranus. And Mars is in your guys' 3rd house this month. So that has to do with your thoughts, again, with your thoughts, your communications, perhaps learning, okay? So this whole month with Mars there, Mars is playing a very benefic role. And I really suggest you guys do some learning, perhaps some teaching, some communicating, opening up that throat chakra, and opening up your mind too, you know? And perhaps being a little social, perhaps, this month, because the 3rd house does involve our interactions with the universe, and that includes other people. So putting energy into those areas, you're going to find is really supporting all of this, okay? And what's really going to be supporting, especially around the 20th, is your sense of freedom of expression, okay? So do put in the energy there in terms of Mars. Now on the 21st, Uranus goes station direct, so I think when you do that, okay, you're going to notice that freedom is unlocking, like I said, and you're going to notice that towards the end of the month, around the 21st, when Uranus goes station direct in that 5th house, you notice all this positive activity is creating that sense of freedom, and there will be that feeling of freedom and that ability to feel like you can be your unique you from that point onward, and a lot of the lessons you've learned over that past Uranus retrograde are going to start to be incorporated into the actions and into your just day-to-day experiences for the next few months, or many months while Uranus is direct. Now let's talk about Jupiter this month. Jupiter's been transiting your guys' 9th house, which has to do with your path, your vision, your connection to God, your connection to Source, the higher realms, and on a mundane level, university, wisdom, astrology, philosophy, that kind of thing, and travel even. So you've had Jupiter transiting there for almost a full year now, and he's going to go retrograde on the 9th. So do the reflection from the 9th onward in those areas, okay? Perhaps really look at your life in the big picture perspective, because the 9th house, top of the chart, and that can really assist you in the process. And notice that these little transformations that are happening, they're serving such an important role in your overall life path. And reflect on your life path this month, I think, and especially for the next few months while he's retrograde. I think that's a very, very strong emphasis. And through that, you'll be able to learn a lot about the process. Now, Saturn, like we pretty much covered that, but that's your grounding element, okay? So everything that you are doing, that's your goals and your ambitions, and putting yourself perhaps into a more public way, like having that mature sense of self out into the open for other people to see, and embodying that sense of maturity is going to create a very strong grounding element for you guys this month. So the self is grounding, okay, and also your goals as well. And I think we're all going to need a very strong grounding element this month with all these changes taking place. All right, so let's talk about the full moon this month. The full moon is happening in Taurus, which is your guys' 7th house, and this is happening on the 6th of December. So perhaps something culminating in terms of relationships and realizing something there, but it's all going to be assisting you in these transformations. So really pay attention around the 6th in the relationship sphere, and I think whatever that is, some insight will come to you or will be available to you. And if you really listen, in some way it will assist you in this whole process. Perhaps that's when someone says something, or you run into someone and I don't know, it triggers something, and you have this awareness about all this stuff in the 2nd house, etc., that we talked about. Or just overall, just in relationships in general. So pay attention around the 6th with that full moon there. Now on the 21st, we have the new moon in that 2nd house. So I feel like by the end of this month, with all this transformation taking place in that 2nd, you're going to notice a sense of freshness and newness of a new direction and a new perspective of that overall abundant self-worth, values, etc., that have to do with that 2nd house. All right, guys, so I'm going to draw a card and see where Spirit would like a little more emphasis for you this month. Okay, Uranus. Well, maybe this is a reminder to really tap into that freedom. Maybe this is just extra emphasis, be your unique self. And notice how Uranus is actually holding the whole universe in his hand. It's not the world, it's the universe. And this is what the freedom is all about. When you're absolutely free, when you're embodying your higher self, then it's like having the universe in the palm of your hands. It's infinite possibilities. You just feel so free, so limitless. Not even limited to Earth. You're not even limited to the universe. It's the multiverse. So yeah, perhaps this is a reminder to just really tap into that freedom, do the unique thing, do the different thing, and be yourself, guys. Just want to let you guys know that I'm offering a special this month. It's a 45-minute recorded reading gift you can give to a friend or family member. And of course, you guys already get 50% off my 1-hour sessions, which you can also extend, and it's a great way to look at the year ahead. All right, well, I hope you guys have a great month, and I'll see you next time. Take care.